Good morning, everybody. My name is Justin Wilson. I use he, him pronouns, and it is my pleasure as the Congregational Life Coordinator to welcome you to this service at the First Universalist Church of Rochester. If you are here for the first time this morning, we especially welcome you and thank you for making it to our worshiping community. We invite everybody to remain after for coffee hour in the Clara Barton Lounge behind me through those doors or online in the same Zoom link. I'd like to introduce, as part of our month-long pulpit swap, we are happy to have here today Reverend A.J. VanTyne from First Unitarian. He's the assistant minister there, a lifelong UU, and is married with a 2-year-old daughter. There is a visitor's form on the back of your order of service, or by clicking the link in the chat. If you have not completed that yet, we ask you to fill that out so we can get to know you better and so you can stay up to date with what's going on here at the church. Just a reminder, if you have a big joy or sorrow in your heart this morning, to please write it in the notebook here on the chancel or online in the Zoom chat before the chalice is lit. So now is a good time to do that, and I promise I'll get all of them this week. I want to turn your attention to the announcements section in the order of service. We have a lot happening this month. Just today, we have the Eco-Justice meeting after service in the Chalice Room. We have the Newcomer Circle, which we're going to move to the Gratitude Room upstairs in room 22. So if you're new and want to learn more about our faith and what our church means, come join us. Next weekend, we have the Rochester Model Railroad Club open house and Clock Spring Forward, so don't be late. Before we take a moment to turn to our neighbor, let's say hello to our online community by waving towards the camera in the back there by the Progress Pride flag. We're happy you're joining us this morning. If you're online, feel free to pop a greeting into the chat. And for all of us here in person, let's turn towards our neighbor and say hello and offer a greeting this morning.
Well, everybody can remain standing as we begin to sing hymn number 1000 in the Teal hymnal, Morning Has Come. We live in a time where we have a strange, I struggled with that word choice, partnership with the truth. We are told this is the truth. Then we are told all of the facts that refute the truth. Then people say, but that's not the truth. So what do we do? All I can say is what I do. I am always searching for the truth I see in the world around me. I read novels. I read catalogs. I watch Hallmark movies. I read the words as I walk around the world. What do I do with my truth words? I collect and save them in an envelope. This one happens to be from the American Quilter Society. So I'd like to share a few of my truths with you. Half the truth is often a great lie. Benjamin Franklin. The Maasai people of Africa believe that we have 3 ears, one on either side of our head and one in the middle of our heart, H-E-A-R-T. A bookmark from the disabled American veterans. One side has the lyrics for "This Land Is Your Land." The other side says, "No love, no friendship can cross the path of our destiny without leaving some mark on it forever." An old African proverb: "You should return to old watering holes for more than water. Friends and dreams are there to meet you." Nobody gets to any place alone. This is Hallmark. Don't let your past steal your future. Hope is never lost to us completely. Hope is the ribbon that transfigures everything. It can transform wild weeds into a posy. Oh, this one I already used in the call to worship. Save that. From a catalog. In case you forgot to remind yourself this morning, your smile lights up the room. Your mind is insanely cool. You are way more than enough. And you are doing an amazing job at life. I always felt pressured to hold tightly to my youth. And then one day I woke up and thought, why am I torturing myself? Everybody gets to be young, but not everybody is lucky enough to grow old. Then, on a shop window on Rainier Avenue in Columbia City, Seattle, Washington, all are welcome here. We respect and honor differences in gender, age, race, faith, ethnicity, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Because we all thrive when our differences are valued. There are great truths all around us, and by seeing them, we can recognize the half-truths. Now, let's hold the truth close to our hearts. Come, Let us worship together. As Molly and Angelina Bell come forward to light our chalice at First Universalist, and you light a chalice in your own homes, please join us in our chalice lighting words, spoken in unison. May we be a people of welcome, here to go in heart and mind and spirit, and may we reach out to serve. Push it out. There. Now pull it back in. There. Please rise in body or in spirit for our affirmation of faith. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall go to harmony with the source and meaning of life. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all. I invite you now into the spiritual practice of generosity. The good work of this church is funded by the gifts you give. Part of that good work is the ministry of adult faith development. This group, led by our Minister of Lifespan Faith Development, Reverend Michelle Yates, includes small connection circles, our drop-in discussion group, book clubs, educational programs, and all sorts of spiritual development opportunities for grown-ups. Would any members of the adult faith development here raise your hands here or online? Anybody from that committee? We are so grateful for your contributions to the life of this church and the needs of the world. Let us give with grateful hearts this morning. Please place your offering in the offering basket or give online by scanning the QR code on the back of your order of service. This is also a great time to place visitors' forms in the offering basket. For folks online, please click the link in the chat to give to First Universalist Church. Thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received.
I am super excited today because I have not one story, but one story in 3 different ways. So I want to invite forward our kiddos to our story blanket in person, or if we have them online, to join us and come up to the screen and gallop on down. So I'm curious if you've heard this one before. This is like one of those things they call like a folk tale or a true story that they think maybe came from Russia. But it's called The Frog and the Scorpion. So one day in the area of the forest where the frog lived, there was a fire, and the frog needed to cross the river. But before he did, this scorpion came over, and she said, "Hey, it's really dangerous over here. Could you please help me? Could you give me a ride to the other side of the river?" The frog was like, no, you're a scorpion. You sting. You're gonna sting me." And the scorpion's like, "Why would I do that? That would be so foolish. If I stung you while we were halfway there, then we would both drown." And the frog thought, this is the important part, and said, "Okay, this is the traditional story first." So the scorpion hopped on the frog's back, and he's swimming across the river to the other side, and what do you think happens? Oh, the scorpion stung the frog. He's like, "Why did you do that? You said you weren't going to do that. Now we're both going to drown." And the scorpion's like, "I'm really sorry. It's in my nature. It's what I do to protect myself." And they both drown. So I think this one is good to remember because, like, well, if you've seen someone who tends to not play well with others, maybe they're a little too rough for you, or sometimes they're a bully, you might think about that when, like for our theme for the next 2 months, trust, to decide how much you feel you can trust this person, how much trust you feel with them. So now here's a different version. Same frog, same scorpion, same fire. Scorpion comes, "Frog, could you help me get across to the other side of the river to get away from the fire?" Frog, "I don't think that's a good idea. You'll sting me." The scorpion's like, no, I won't. That would be foolish. Why would I do that? Then we both drowned. I won't sting you. But the frog thinks for a little longer and goes over into the brush of the forest and grabs this great big thick banana leaf and puts it on his back and says, "Okay, go ahead, get up." And then swims across the river, and about halfway across the river, but it didn't work. So the scorpion stung, but it hit the banana leaf. It didn't hit the frog. They swam to the other side, and they were both okay. And they get off to the other side, and the scorpion says, "Thank you so much for giving me that ride." And the frog is like, "But it didn't stop you if I didn't have this banana leaf, this healthy boundary, we might call it. You would have stung me." He's like, "I'm sorry. I don't mean to. It's in my nature. It's what I kind of do to protect myself. I didn't know what else to do sometimes. But thank you. Thank you for protecting yourself and helping me." Are you ready for a third version of the story? Yeah. This one was great. I don't know if my friend Amanda over at First Unitarian thought of this herself, but genius. Okay, so frog, scorpion, fire. The scorpion says to the frog, "Frog, would you help me get to the other side of the river and get away from the fire?" Frog says, "I don't think that's a good idea. You're a scorpion. You're going to sting me." No. Why would I do that? I wouldn't do that. That's a bad idea. And the frog thinks. And this time goes back into the forest and gets not only 1, but 2 banana leaves. The first one to go on the frog's back, and the second one asks the scorpion to hold it with her tail. And so they leaf on the back, scorpion on the back, scorpion holding leaf. And that second leaf ends up working like a sail. And it helps get them across the river that much faster and gives that tail something to do. An important job that is not destructive but helpful. So they get to the other side and the scorpion says, "Thank you so much, you saved my life. And I appreciate that you recognize my kind of tendencies and gave me a good purpose, something constructive to do that was helpful and not hurtful." And the frog and the scorpion stayed together for the rest of their days as good friends. Now, you know what that third story made me think of? We have a lot of them here at church, especially in the back. Can I use this for a second? Fidgets. That sometimes we need something to be doing with our monkey mind so that we can focus our best self on what we want to do and achieve. Sometimes we need our hands occupied so they're not digging at ourselves or at things around us so that we can be as present as possible. So, I also want you to remember that the fidgets we have here are all about at church are not just for kids, because everyone has a monkey mind and everybody might need something to do with their hands in order to be fully present. Thank you so much. And now I invite you all to sing our doxology together while the kids and I and staff go up for children's worship.
I invite you now into this reverent time of sharing the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. If you would like to, you can place a hand over your heart to be able to listen from this heart-centered place. We know so much is going on in our world today, and if you have sorrows or joys to share on behalf of our national or global community, you are truly encouraged to do so today and into the future. As Patty Goodwin places stones into a bowl, I will read aloud the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. First, from last week, an update from Kitty that Carl Abbott is home and doing much better after a stay in the hospital. From Elizabeth and Dave, they are missing us as they have zoomed out of town, and they celebrated Dave's birthday this past Tuesday and share best to all. Chelsea shares that this past Wednesday was Alex Pita's birthday. Richard shares a joy of having a fantastic time enjoying the German-style lunch at Tim and Kathy Milch's home. And also, another joy that it was a great leadership gathering yesterday morning. Zeppelin shares holding a great joy for feeling well enough to come to church and share time with community and loved ones. Patty shares a sorrow. Their friend Jill, who has ovarian cancer, and another friend who died all within the past week. Michael Scott shares a concern that was joined by John Lukes, mourning for the people of Iran and for Iranian friends here in the U.S., and for U.S. war action without congressional consent. Angelina Bell shares a joy that actually enjoys the winters in Rochester and their beautiful snowy days. Again, that was a joy. Sharing a joy that Janice Mary has begun gathering petition signatures to get political candidates on the ballot, being brave and dedicated to do so. Today we share in a community ritual as well to honor the many joys and sorrows we bring into this space, whether read aloud or kept in the silent sanctuaries of our heart. In a moment, those here in person are invited to come forward and drop stones into the bowls. If you need to remain seated, please raise your hand or have someone else raise a hand and signal to us so that we may have someone come with a bowl for you to drop stones in. If you're joining us online, please send a heart emoji in the chat. Let us join now in this collective ritual of honoring the joys and sorrows of us all. Please come forward. Let this ritual be a reminder that we are never alone in our sorrow, and our joy may uplift our beloved community. Now the circle of our care is drawn larger, and may it increase forevermore.
Please join me in the spirit of meditation, reflection, and prayer. Great mystery which grounds us and surrounds us, God of many names and beyond all naming. As we gather in community to witness our sorrows and our joys, may our hearts grow in their capacity to hold it all. As we gather in community to lift up our values and our highest aspirations, may our mutual encouragement strengthen our resolve for truth and justice. As we gather to seek and speak the truth as we find it, and to listen and hear the truth as others see it, may our minds and hearts open in wonder and compassion to the diversity inherent in all that lives and breathes and is. And gathering this morning as our country engages in yet more unlawful, unjustified, and unjustifiable violence in sovereign countries, I offer this blessing for bodies by the Reverend Nancy Schaefer. May we, creatures of bone and tissue, know our bodies well. The fourth rib and how it rises higher than the third, not so high as the fifth. How it feels to the thumb, slowly traced, and under it, how the heart rests. May we know that space where no ribs lie, and unshielded, we bend. May we know the bottom of each toe, and that tender arch where no skin touches ground, also skin smoothed soft by clothing. May we know the quick curve of the head before it sits on the spine, and the tiny hollow just behind the ear. The length of the forearm, lifting food to lips, and how lips become a circle, waiting. And knowing this, cease our study of war. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.
Good morning, First Universalist. We're doing our hymn of contemplation as a round today. We haven't sung one in a while. So we're going to divide up into three sections, and we're going to sing it once through all together, and then twice through in three different parts. So I will be leading this area as section 1, and Kitty is going to be leading this middle area as section 2, and Michael is going to be leading this group as 3. So we're going to sing this through once together, and then twice as a round in 3 parts. Oh, it is hymn 389, Gathered Here.
It is wonderful to be with you all again in this annual tradition of our pulpit swap. It's a delight to be here and bring greetings from First Unitarian as Reverend Eileen is preaching at First Unitarian this morning. It is good to have such good relationships between our congregations and between our colleagues. From the earliest Unitarians who found no evidence for the doctrine of the Trinity in the Bible, or the earliest Universalists who saw no evidence for the doctrine of eternal tormenting punishment, our faith has been indebted to a practice of skepticism, of not accepting the truths handed down from past generations without rigorous investigation. From Abner Neeland, who was a Universalist minister until he questioned the need to believe in God at all and became the last man jailed for blasphemy in America in the 1830s, hopefully the last man arrested, jailed for blasphemy, to Ralph Waldo Emerson, who questioned the ritual of communion and encouraged instead a direct relationship with the divine for each person. The most traditional thing we can do as Unitarian Universalists sometimes, it seems, is to reject tradition and develop something new and vibrant. From the signers of the Humanist Manifesto, those whose skepticism led them to a rejection of supernaturalism and an embrace of the human potential for goodness, to the leaders of the early 21st century who suspected that Unitarian Universalism could hold more room for more kinds of spiritual and reverential language than just speaking in one key. Our faith has called us to the self-reflection, growth, and innovation that arises from an authentic and balanced skepticism. And to be clear, ours is not the only tradition steeped in skepticism. Indeed, the roots of Western philosophy can be found in the skepticism of the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates, who may have been the first recorded person to be sentenced to death for being too annoying. That is, for asking too many questions, and thereby corrupting the youth, I believe was the official charge. But he also exemplified the advice to not believe everything that you think. Socrates' only real claim was that he knew nothing, and neither did you. And his Socratic method of questioning, recorded in the dialogues of Plato, would leave his conversation partners exasperated as he systematically deconstructed their claims to knowledge of morality, or the will of the gods, or the nature of justice. Now, another gift that I often turn to from the ancient Greeks is the concept of virtue, particularly as used as an ethical framework. Now, I will not get into a whole lecture about various ethical, philosophical frameworks, but the important thing to know about virtue ethics is that it is not about trying to use logic or some kind of science to determine the most ethically correct action in any given situation. It admits that life is far too messy for something like that. But what we can do is strive for moral excellence, for virtue, striking the golden balance between two contrasting vices. So the classic example is that courage is the virtue found when one is not too cowardly on the one hand, but not too foolhardy on the other. One must be brave enough to act while afraid, but not foolish enough to act without considering the risks. So, if skepticism is a virtue, as I am purporting it to be, then the vices that we are trying to avoid are gullibility, on the one hand, believing something that in fact is not true, and what I would call contrarianism, on the other, a refusal to believe or accept something even if it is true. Because for me, skepticism is not about disbelieving everything as a knee-jerk starting point reaction, but it's about understanding what makes compelling evidence to accept a claim. Returning to the Greek, the word skeptic comes to us from the word skepsis in Greek, which means examination, inquiry, or consideration. So it's not about disbelief as a rule, it is about investigating what people say and whether or not it is true. There's a difference between saying no to everything and answering everything with a question. Take our story this morning, the frog and the scorpion. In the original version, it seems that the frog was not quite skeptical enough of the scorpion. But on deeper reflection, I would also say that he was being too skeptical of himself and his initial reaction of suspicion of the claims of the scorpion, of understanding, his own understanding that the scorpion was very likely to sting him. In the later versions, the frog acts as a more virtuous skeptic. He spends enough time reflecting on the situation, and most importantly, I think he is skeptical, not just being skeptical of the scorpion's claims or of his own internal reaction, but he's skeptical of the idea that his only options are to say yes or no to the scorpion. By being skeptical of the scorpion's framing of the situation, will you help me or not? Will you let me ride on your back or not? He was able to imagine an alternative possibility, a yes and or a yes but. Here's how we're going to do it. And in fact, this for me is where the virtues of skepticism and hope overlap. Hope, as distinct from optimism, is grounded in the conviction that we don't know the future. So we cannot say that the future is definitely going to be bad, like pessimism does, and we cannot say that it definitely is going to be good either, as optimism does. But our skepticism of both of these claims can lead us to being grounded in the present moment, in the real reality, and open to the infinite possibilities of life, not closing anything off, empowering ourselves to take action to shape the future towards the good. This is why I'm compelled to preach the gospel of skepticism, because when understood properly as a virtue, a skeptical approach can ground us in hope and truth and love. It is an important religious value to our tradition of heretics and blasphemers, and it is also an important political and ethical value, necessary for safeguarding democracy and liberty from the clutches of tyranny. Now, speaking of tyranny, I do want to lift up one of the 20 lessons from Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny. If you aren't familiar, it's a small and short book by a historian. It's 20 lessons from the 20th century on how to resist fascism and tyranny. Now, lesson 11 is investigate. Snyder writes, "Figure things out for yourself. Spend more time with long articles. Subsidize investigative journalism by subscribing to print media. Realize that some of what is on the internet is there to harm you. Learn about sites that investigate propaganda campaigns, some of which come from abroad. Take responsibility for what you communicate to others." In this chapter, Snyder makes the provocative claim that it is your ability to discern facts that makes you an individual, and our collective trust in common knowledge that makes us a society. Now, I admit I am at first skeptical of this claim a little bit. I don't know if I fully agree with it, that that is what makes us individuals, but I do believe that if we abdicate our discernment, we can lose our individuality, and if we do not have a collective trust in common knowledge, we lose some of the fabric of society. I do believe that it is important for each of us to think about how we as individuals have immense power and therefore immense responsibility to discern what is true. We must use this power wisely in service of truth. Snyder finishes the chapter by saying that each one of us bears some private responsibility for the public's sense of truth. If we are serious about seeking the facts, we can each make a small revolution in the way the internet works. If you are verifying information yourself, you will not send on fake news to others. If you choose to follow reporters whom you have reason to trust, you can also transmit what they have learned to others. If you retweet only the work of humans who have followed journalistic protocols, you are less likely to debase your brain interacting with bots and trolls. Now, this book was published in 2017, so at this point we might add AI to the bots and trolls, but I will digress and leave that to Reverend Eileen's sermon in our series. And we also might say repost more generically rather than retweet, as Twitter, of course, is no longer the public sphere that it never actually was, but had a bit more claim to before recent events. But I do want to offer what I've been doing to try and follow this lesson of investigation, just as an example and to share. I have shifted my social media habits and how I use the internet, and this has not been necessarily easy, but I have tried to get off and reduce the amount of time that I spend on platforms that are full of ads, that I see a lot of AI media, not all of which is trying to avoid claiming the fact that it's AI, but either way, and avoiding social media that focuses on an algorithm presenting what it thinks I want to see, or rather, what the algorithm wants me to see, because of course it's all advertising, and getting off platforms, I may have said this already, that are full of advertisements. So rather, I try to use social media platforms that allow me to curate what I'm seeing and who I'm following, and then follow journalists directly. I don't even look at newspaper headlines or NPR as much, because I'm following journalists directly. Now here's an example, a fairly topical example of what this looks like. A post that I saw on my feed last night from Jorge Caballero, MD. He writes, "We are no more than a few hours away from the next phase of digital propaganda. Unverified videos of liberated people celebrating will go viral. Many of these videos will later be revealed to have predated the illegal war or be entirely unrelated to current events. Upshot, verify before amplify." So when I saw this, I thought I would make a great example, because it's making the same point that Timothy Snyder is making. But beyond just being something that I agree with, already agree with, why do I trust this advice and trust that this is coming from a trusted source? Well, when I look at this person's account, it is not a new account. It has plenty of followers and accounts that he follows and many posts. His bio is encouraging. It says this is someone who is a doctor who's responsible for COVID data and analytics that touched 200 million plus American lives during the COVID era, the COVID shutdown originally. He's a husband, dad, retired doctor, longtime techie, lifelong learner, and a Twitter and Threads expatriate. And more than just that, I see that he is followed by other accounts that I trust, including the author Rebecca Solnit and various other journalists. So I see this post, but I also look at who posted it and how that account and how this, hopefully a real person, fits in to the larger information network. Now, here's another thing I want to offer, which is something I've been thinking about: shorthand phrases for anti-fascism. One of them, an example you may have heard, a more colorful version of this, is the phrase, "make me," which depressingly few of our institutional leaders have embraced as their response to the Trump administration's bullying behaviors. But another anti-fascist phrase to keep on the tip of our tongues in this interest of skepticism is to say, "prove it." Whether in response to official statements from the Trump administration, from his enablers in Congress, or to the stories, claims, facts, and figures that you see scrolling past on social media or legacy media, even news outlets like CNN, which now feature betting odds on current events as headlines, or the Washington Post, which recently laid off half of its journalists, wherever it is coming from, it is helpful to have this approach of stopping and asking, well, where is the evidence? Can you prove it? And again, this is not about having this as a knee-jerk reaction to everything that puts all the labor of investigation and proving something on others. It's actually a spiritual discipline of holding back acceptance of claims until we ourselves have satisfied a higher threshold of credibility. It asks more of us than it does of other people. The good news is that we are not alone in this struggle. If we know to trust ourselves, trust our own senses, our own common sense, our own moral conscience, and if we do the hard work of discerning who else we should trust, we can work on this together and rebuild that fabric of trust in society. Last week, I was listening to Connections, Evan Dawson on NPR, and I heard Reverend Dan Brockway, the lead pastor of Brockport First Baptist, speaking along with Reverend Sherry about their recent experiences in Minneapolis. And Reverend Dan reflected on the reality that it's hard to ignore the evidence of one's own eyes, and that's something that gives him hope. because so many people are documenting what is happening in Minneapolis that more people are being woken up by what they see. The Trump regime claims that things are happening that are absolutely not, like the supposed dangers of immigrants, or like the claim that Operation Metro Surge has ended and ICE agents are leaving Minneapolis, when people on the ground actually living in Minneapolis will tell you that ICE has not left. And the regime denies the truth of what is being done to resist it. It denies the truth that Renee Good and Alex Preddy were defending their communities through peaceful observation. They were not a threat. They deny the truth that ICE agents have been lethally violent towards these two and many others, denying the truth of what is going on in the growing concentration camps that are being built right now, or attempted to be, and those camps avoiding oversight from congressional representatives. All of this brings to mind, to me, of course, the quote from George Orwell's novel 1984. "The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command." In contrast, and in resistance to that kind of authoritarianism, our faith tells us to, in the words of the Apostle Paul, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. This is what Robert Graves is talking about in a poem that I had intended to include in this service, to begin the service. And I would like to read it for you now, if you will permit me a moment to pull it up. This is a poem by the English poet Robert Graves. "He is quick, thinking in clear images. I am slow, thinking in broken images. He becomes dull, trusting to his clear images. I become sharp, mistrusting my broken images. Trusting his images, he assumes their relevance. Mistrusting my images, I question their relevance. Assuming their relevance, he assumes the fact. Questioning their relevance, I question the fact. When the fact fails him, he questions his senses. When the fact fails me, I approve my senses. He continues quick and dull in his clear images. I continue slow and sharp in my broken images. He in a new confusion of his understanding, I in a new understanding of my confusion." Holding that skepticism not just of others but of ourselves, mistrusting our own images, questioning their relevance and fact, our senses grow slow and sharp, and we develop a closer relationship with truth. Even as, or perhaps because, we don't come to a conclusion of absolute certainty about everything. Through skepticism, we can avoid, or at least a little better than we otherwise would, avoid the pitfalls of self-righteousness, narrow-mindedness, and just regular error. Skepticism is not the only virtue, and like any virtue, there are vices guarding or waiting on either side of it. But it is a virtue that I think we should claim proudly as Unitarian Universalists, and use it in our resistance to the forces of authoritarianism, and in resisting our own human tendency to lie to ourselves and to fool ourselves. But grounded in this skepticism and in this hope, we may rebuild the fabric of society and create a brighter future. Please join me now in the spirit of curiosity, wonder, and hope, and rise in voice, body, and spirit for our closing hymn, number 1064, in the Teal hymnal, Blue Boat Home. Please remain standing as Patty Goodwin extinguishes our chalice flame this morning. Let us read together the words printed on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. As we close our service this morning, I invite you to place a hand over your heart. If you're joining us online, I invite you to turn your settings to gallery view and look upon the faces of those here with you. For those in the room, take a moment to look around at those here with you today. May you go forth, slow and sharp in your broken images, questioning everything, holding fast that which is good, ever seeking truth, which is justice, which is beauty. Everyone is invited to join us for coffee hour immediately after the service in the Clara Barton Lounge or online in the current Zoom meeting. We hope to see you there.